So I think it's safe to say that episode 9 of Twin Star is hands down the best episode that we got so far. Now I know the series it's definitely had a lot of ups and downs, but this episode was like nothing but good. Even though I do wish that the fight between Rukuro and Yuto could have gone on for a little bit longer, but regardless now, I was definitely, enjoying the episode and I was like really digging it. And so the episode itself, it starts off now where we have Benio under the assumption that Rukuro, killed her brother because he was the one who behind that tragedy that took place in that dorm 2 years ago. But we learn now how there was a lot more to that story than we all knew. And so finally now we see that the hooded boy who I've been talking about for the longest time because it was spoiled in the opening, that right there was Yuto. We still don't know how he is alive, but apparently 2 years ago, Rukuro, he did not kill him, but at the same time, he definitely wounded him because apparently he left some nasty wounds on Yuto's body, but we see that they healed up because this guy was like walking around fine. He's still like we saw that 2 years ago he had that. Well, wait, I'm trying to think in a flashback. Did he have that? Did he have an eye patch or not? Because I recall like in one scene where we have him, chanting that spell that made those kids in the Kagure. I'm trying to recall if he had the eye patch on or not, but he probably did. So right now we still don't know, like we still aren't sure what happened to his eye, but regardless, now he's back, and we see now how we learn more about what really happened that night. And so apparently back then in the dorm, there were all the trainee exorcists, and the strongest two were Rukuro and Yuto. And so apparently now these kids, they definitely wanted more spell power because they actually wanted to go on a mission with Yuto. And so apparently, he had made like this secret meeting where he would help them become stronger, but that right there was a lie. And we see now how one girl was like very cautious about that, and her name was like Amy-chan or something like that. And so pretty much now, like while this was going on, we have Rukuro, this girl named Hikari, and this other girl named Chieko. Hope I'm saying their names right, but we see now how these three, they were not involved, in this, like they weren't involved in what was going on. And so we see now how Rukuro, he was like wondering what the other was at. And so we learn now about a secret meeting. I'm surprised that he not go there right away because most kids, especially him being that young, they'll be very curious about that. But we see how we went to the fridge and they were like nothing there he would like. So he was like gonna go to the store. And so apparently the ones who were like watching over this dorm, it was Seigan-san and Ji-sama. And so these two, they weren't there on that night, which to me I do find, like rather fishy. But regardless, now we have Yuto going through with his plan. And the way his face looked when he was like, chanting this spell, there was nothing but evil intentions, just like oozing like out of his body. And so we see now that when Rukuro was like trying to leave, we see now that he couldn't do that because apparently like the doors were locked, even though the lock on the doors, they weren't actually on that. So Yuto like somehow used a spell to pretty much, make sure that they went open. And so apparently now when Hikari was like trying to like help him because she thought maybe they were just locked and they still can get open, we see now that how the girl with like glasses, she was like minding her own business, watching them, and then out of nowhere you just see like this black mist appear, and then next thing we know, we see her flying, and then when we have Rukuro and Hikari, finding her body, all you see is like her body kind of like twisted up, and you see blood coming from her face, even though we can't see it. And so right now there was this one girl named Yuna. And so apparently, she was like trying to get Rukuro to help her by telling him to go stop Yuto. but we see now how it was too late, because she was like already becoming a Kagure, and so we see now how these lines like appear on her stomach, and then her body was like being engulfed by like this black mist, and so we see now that she became a Kagure. And we see that, Yuto had called her a failure, but pretty much all of them were, because we see how they all became Kagures. And so now we have Rukuro and Hikari trying to escape, but the door was still locked, and we see now how one of them picked up Hikari, and then next thing you know, like all we can see is like holding her, she was like begging for Rukuro to help her. And then next thing we know, we see the Kagure open his mouth, pull her back. We see her arm moving and struggling, and then we hear the Kagure biting off her head. And to me, I figured that they couldn't show that because they definitely got sense of that somehow. But we see the blood, we see her arm go limp, and then we see now how Rukuro, he was like crying, but then we see him get like really freaking serious, and then definitely go back to like the present. And so right now, this right here was like before the flashback, where we have Rukuro seeing Yuto for the first time in like 2 years, and he was like freaking furious to the point where he was like charging at Yuto, but apparently without using a talisman, he had made some kind of trap where it was like these ribbons that were like binding up his body so that way he couldn't move. And so also the idiot pupil that Singan-san was talking about all this time, it wasn't Rukuro, it was actually Yuto. And so right now, you would think that maybe we might see these two fight, but apparently he couldn't fight because his daughter was like still there unconscious on the ground. So right now his hands, they were like rather tied. And we see now how Benio, she was in shock because she had no idea, about the truth. She had no idea how sick and evil her brother, was like she had no idea how evil and twisted her brother really was. And we see now how this guy, he was like pretty much, putting her down, pretty much, spitting on like her parents' grave, because he had called them foolish, for like dying trying to protect her, because they were always, preaching ideals, but they were never able to achieve anything. And then we learn how this whole nice guy act, for her, that right there was a lie, because his true nature is nothing but sick, twisted, evil, and cruel. And so we see now how this guy was like put on the front for pretty much everyone, but especially around Benio, because that right there was like even stressful for him. And so right now her whole role was crushed, because this brother that like she idolized pretty much crumbled right in front of her. And so right now she was like definitely broken inside after this episode. And we see now how Rukuro, finally had enough. We see him now like breaking free from this trap. And we even see now how he got so mad to the point where we have him, using his power without using the Master Star Armor Talisman. And so it's definitely nice to know what that black talisman that he always uses called. And so now we see that, this time when he used it, it was definitely, a lot different, because not only did the armor color on it change, we even see now that, there was a face on it, and this face was now smiling at some point. And so right now, because of that, we see how Rukuro's Kagure corruption, because I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That right there was like getting worse and worse, because we see how at one point his eyes had become red, and we see him now charging in there, attacking mindlessly, like he was not himself. He definitely wasn't himself, but we see now how Yuto, he was like easily able to like fend him off, because we see now that with Yuto's power, with like his own Kagure arm, he was like able to send Rukuro like flying back with like a flick of his fingers. And to me, that right there is like freaking insane. You could just tell that, there's like a ton of power, behind it. And so right now we see now that Rukuro, he was not stopping. He kept charging in there, time and time again. And Benio was just watching, because even though, like right now, she knows the truth. She could not just stay there and do nothing. So at one point, she actually got in between Rukuro, like while he was like charging in, and we see now how that right there, brought him back to normal. And that right there, I will say, I do find like kind of lame, but at the same time, it was too late, because he did attack her, and that right there, sent her flying into like one of these crates that we have Yuto standing on. And so pretty much now with Rukuro, so banged up and back to normal, and Benio is definitely in no condition to fight, especially now, because there's no way she could fight, Yuto if Rukuro is not even strong enough to like take him on now. And so pretty much he was like bored of this, and we see now how like he was going to leave, but we do learn that he does hate Rukuro, but he does respect him. Well, he respects his potential for being an exorcist, but at the same time, he cannot forgive him for like running away from becoming truly powerful, because both of them have the same power. But at the same time, Yuto clearly outclasses Rukuro at this time. And so pretty much, he was now gone, and we see that, that Seigan-san, he definitely was not going to waste any time. He picked up his daughter, and right now he was like going to head back to the real world. And so pretty much when he did that, obviously both of them came back as well. And so we see him now carrying his daughter, and he was leaving. And we see him now looking back at the beat up children, and so you would think he might say something, maybe some words to possibly, to comfort them, but he said nothing and just left. And so to me, that right there was like a little messed up, but at least we got this very powerful scene, afterwards between Rukuro and Benio, because she was like bowing down to him, because, she was so sorry, because obviously she almost made a pretty big mistake, because right now she was like feeling so much hatred toward Rukuro, because she thought, that he killed her brother, but at the same time, it was all, but it was all Yuto's fault for pretty much ruining his life. And so right now she knew how words, couldn't really change anything. And so the only thing she could do was like to bow to him. But obviously, Rukuro, to him that felt really weird. So obviously, he was like telling her, to like raise her head. And so pretty much now, Rukuro was like finally confronting his past, because he was saying how he did not want to remember that, but Yuto did make him realize something, how like all this time he's been running away, from battle. And so right now the time for that is over, because he needs to get stronger so that way he can fight him. And Benio also, wants to get stronger as well, not because of that promise, which was like total crap to Yuto, but it's because she wants to. And so now both of them have like made this vow to get stronger, but together. So this right here really is leading to like towards the twin star, destiny. And so I do wonder if maybe both of them will get to a point where they can, use their power of spells without relying on talismans, especially Rukuro, because his power is definitely, very unique. And so maybe he can, use that powerful armor of his without talismans, and of course without losing controls. But like I said, this right here is hands down the best episode that we got so far. I definitely liked it a lot. And so to me, that right there, gives it a great rating from my book. But of course, let me know what you guys thought. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because it really helps me out. And as always, you guys take it easy. I will see you all next time.